everybody. This is Emily coming in from Nashville.
Hello, everyone. This is Peyton coming in from LA.
Welcome. Welcome to PS We Have No Plan. We're here. We're here, whether we like it or not.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
we're coming at sort of a strange time. I feel like you've been super busy. I've been super busy the past few days, but I've also been not so busy. And I've been busy in some ways, I've
No,
been
yeah,
chill in other ways, if that makes sense.
yes,
So,
1000%. I feel ya. I did not want to pod today. I was like, I just don't feel like this. I feel drained, but every time we do it, I always feel better. And it's something that we promise to each other. We're not going to skip out on this. And I do
totally.
think it helps. But
I
ooh,
do too. I do too. And it kind of goes along with our topic of the day. I don't know
it
how much
does.
pop culture news we have, if there's been any exciting drama in the last few days. I haven't really heard much.
I haven't either. The only thing that I saw was Taylor and Maddie Healy.
I know that's all been all over the
And
internet,
that's all
hasn't it?
there is. Yeah, I guess. I'm not a fan of it.
I know. I'm not either. I've been seeing more and more videos of Maddie Healy. I actually didn't know much about him. And now I'm like, you're kind of weird.
He's weird. And I read some like disturbing things about him
Yeah.
today. Did you read all of that crap?
Like the meat eating on stage and the like, I don't know, the weird
Yes.
finger sucking things of fans. I'm like, what's going
Well,
on?
and I saw some weird things about porno and
Oh,
it wasn't flattering. It was
no,
not
he's sort of an
flattering.
oddball. Yeah. But some one light-hearted fun thing that I wanted to share. So I did my makeup not for this pod, but it was a nice kind of
Yes.
doubling effect because Lancome sent me foundation.
What?
I know, which has never happened to me in my life. I've never had a brand reach out, but they reached out and they're like, "Hey, would you be interested in us sending you some foundation? No pressure to post anything, but just whatever. We saw your TikTok, your Get Ready With Me TikTok." So I was like, "Sure."
Peyton.
I know. So I signed up. I was like, "Yeah, let's sign up." And they sent me two shades, and it's a beautiful foundation that retails for like $56 each. So I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh.
I know. So anyways, I'm using it, and I love it.
You're glowing. You do. You look so beautiful. Like so
Oh,
beautiful.
thank you.
Do you have a lipstick on too?
I do. I have the little Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk, which is my favorite, and some Dior lip glow. So I'm just feeling fancy and fun today.
As you should. And here I am to bring you down.
Oh no. Wait, what
But
fun fact do you have for the day? Do you have any fun fact?
fun fact for a day. Let me see here. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Well, I have been working on my camera and I think I'm getting a little bit better at that. So that's definitely one. And I'm fine. I'm not going to bring you down. I'm
Oh
just
God.
being a baby. I'm just being a baby.
No, it's fine. Sometimes you feel like you're in a funk and that absolutely happens. Oh, one
You tell
other
me.
thing that I wanted to share with you and see if like this is something you'd be interested in doing. But I have a book club with my friends and we read once a month. And if you're interested in
Oh,
doing, I know you don't love books though, but maybe we could do book club type things where I share like updates from the books because
I love that.
it's so fun. And I've been trying to tell everyone to read more. And I read
Oh,
The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It was so good.
I've heard a lot about that. That
It
is
was
one that I've
so
been
good.
tempted to read.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
so good. It's such like a sexy page turner. It's not one of those boring ones that just talk about the scenery for like 90 pages. It's
Yeah.
really fun. It's like it takes place in Hollywood, so it's like I knew the
Oh,
places because I
oh,
live
that's
here
fun.
now. It's
Yes, I love
so
that.
fun. It's
It,
about a star. So she's changes her name and I won't ruin it, but like comes to Hollywood is like I will do anything to be a star and she becomes a star. And it's about her seven husbands and her.
oh, that's everything that we are. We're only on number one though.
I know, really. And there's a big secret, so it's like a big mystery, and it's a good one. So, anyways,
Okay.
I finished that last night, which is another fun fact.
Yay. Well, here's one. I started knitting again. Yeah, and I
Ooh,
actually really like it. It's cathartic and therapeutic, and I just like to sit there and it's something that I can do to work my mind and my hands, but I'm not having to think about everything. And it keeps me away from
totally.
my phone.
Totally. No, I love that activity. I feel like knitting is something that I'm surprised I haven't gotten into at some
I'm
point
very,
in my
I feel like you would be knitting sweaters and
Yeah, I'm a
hats. Like
knitter.
you're a freaking fucking knitter.
I don't know, just scream. I scream like Catwoman and knitter, and I'm like Swifty, which I like Taylor Swift, but I'm
Same.
not really Swifty. I'm not really a cat person. I'm not a knitter, but that's sort of the vibe I give.
Well, that's why we're mysterious. We might give off a vibe, but we're something else.
We're so mysterious.
So
That's the
mysterious.
first thing you and I are.
Mystery, let me tell you. Well, a lady
Oh
at the
my God.
flower shop, she had a really cute sweater on and she said she made it. She knit it. And she said, "You can do it. It's very easy." I'm like, "Well, I'm sure it's not easy, but
Yeah.
you inspire me." And here I am knitting a long scarf right now.
I love it. I can't wait to see the finished result. You have to share it
Yeah.
on Instagram.
Yes, I think it's going to be great. So I guess there's not a natural segue into today's episode, but we talked about perhaps talking about we talked about talking about having, being around people, whether it's at home, a partnership, or work, when something has to be done and it's talked about over and over, but there's no action that takes place, or you don't follow through with what you say you're going to do, and you expect a different outcome. And it's really frustrating. And it's really
It's
frustrating.
really frustrating.
Right? Right?
Yes.
I mean, especially if you're the one that's not technically, you're talking to the person about what needs to be done, but you can't make those decisions or choices for them.
Okay, can I pose a question for this? Because this made me think about this because Luke and
Absolutely.
I definitely get into these conversations. Because
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
a
same.
control, right? And I'm a bit of a control freak and I'm a bit of a know-it-all because I spend a lot of time and effort and work on my mental health and whatever the world. And I feel like I try and, you know,
Well,
own
and you
that
do know it
space.
all. So in my book.
No. But I'm definitely that's my like little I need to work on it a bit. But I'm posing this as a question because Luke has posed it to me in the past. Do you think when you see a situation where you're like a change has to happen, do you put yourself in that person's shoes and are you saying like how would they approach that situation, or would you say I know best, this is how it has to happen,
Oh,
this is how I'd
gosh.
approach the situation?
I think initially, if it's something that's just really detrimental to somebody or a company or a brand, I just go into, tunnel vision mode. This is how I would handle it. This is not how people should act. It needs to be stopped right now. If
Mm-hmm.
it's like the situation that I'm currently in, when it's somebody else's decision to make, I try really hard to put myself in their shoes, because obviously they have more weighing on this than I do. Like, it's their company. They have to actually do the process of letting
Mm-hmm.
somebody go or firing or telling them like, cut the shit. You need to change your ways. Um,
Can you set it up for people or do you not want to share too many details?
oh, sure. I don't care.
Okay, set up the sitch.
Okay. So I work at a company in music, and it is a lovely, lovely place. Everybody has a lot of freedom, but with that freedom, in return should come responsibility and owning up to your half of the bargain, right? Everybody has a contract with what they're supposed to provide song wise, et cetera, et cetera. We have one writer that is a true leech. He just drains for money, asks what everybody else is doing for him, asks why things aren't working for him. And this has been going on before I have been there, and I've been there for 7 years. It is just over and over and over. And he walks over my boss. He is extremely rude, extremely ungrateful. And I mean, I'm done. I'm over it. And I told my boss, I'm like, I will not do one thing for him. I will not be involved one bit for something that's coming out soon on him or something that's being finished. I will work whatever needs to be worked for you, to get it hopefully to somebody else's hands so we don't have to do it anymore. But I will not lift one more finger for this guy. He doesn't deserve it. And I'm trying to talk him into doing the exact same thing because he just walks all over him.
Yeah, that's really tough. See, that's a tough situation where it's like you're not living your boss's shoes and it's his call, right? At the end of the day, it's his.
Absolutely.
And that's so hard. Like, that is infinitely hard for me to not want to make decisions for people
Yeah.
because I think I know what has to happen to alleviate the situation. But that feels like it's pretty obvious. Like, anyone would
Oh,
agree. It's sort of not subjective, it's sort of objective.
no, not at all. And it's maddening because he knows what he has to do too. And everybody around him, like there's four of us that work a lot together,
Hmm.
our core group on these releases, and everybody's in the same boat. And he is as well, but he
Hmm.
has too nice of a heart. He is too generous, and he has the hardest time pushing back on anybody. And it's maddening, I say again, because it just pisses me off to see people treat him like that because he is such an incredibly giving person. But it
Hmm.
also pisses me off that he doesn't stand up for himself. And I'm at the point where I tell him that.
Hmm. Well, how does that go?
I mean, he agrees, which is crazy. And it's not like I'm that's not me normally in a work environment. Like
Yeah.
I respect the rules. I know there are things that need to be done a certain way. And I am not in his position. And I know what he deals with is incredibly more than what I do. And he has so much more, riding on it than I do, of course. But when you see the way that something affects somebody negatively year after year after year,
Hmm.
and it doesn't change, and the outcome, whatever the little bit of outcome you get, isn't worth it. I mean, come on, right?
No,
What
it's just
what would you think?
infuriating. No, it's infuriating. I think this is I mean, I relate to this it's like a different thing, but it's the same sort of sentiment around change and not following it with action. And Luke and I have these conversations where he gets into these mental funks at times and like just becomes a bit lazy. He hates that word, but
No, we have that too. We have those conversations. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
where he's just like, okay, well, reserves himself to the couch and orders in and just kind of gives up a little bit when he gets exhausted. And every time I come home and I'm a bit of a nagger and I'm like, okay, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that. And he gets
Yes.
frustrated with it and is like, you have too high of expectations for me. And I'm like, well, you promised me you would do this and you promised me it would change over time, but we still always end up coming back to the same spot. And at some point, when you promise change and you say, I will, I will, I will, I will, and you don't, it's bullshit, right? It's empty
1000%.
promises. So I don't know. It's like a hard thing because I'm not living I'm like, if that's how you want to live your life, great. If you want to continue to disappoint yourself, if you want me to lower my expectations for you. And he's like, of course I don't. I'm like, well, then step up.
Exactly. Exactly. And when they say that they are, and like,
Hmm.
I just got to get back on it. I just got to get like on a good routine. Okay, well, how long do you wait for that?
Right.
In my opinion, I mean, it's different for everybody, and I get it. And I know we all go through highs and lows.
Yes.
Believe me, I know you and I both understand that. We have been there for sure. But there comes a point, or where is that point where you go, okay, I've got to change this for myself now and for all the people around me, or it's never gonna get better.
Right. And I think you and I really put a lot of pressure, not even pressure, but just to hold ourselves to expectations of when we say something, we commit to it and we do
Yes.
it. And it fuels us and it's super serving in a lot of ways, but it's also hard and can get exhausting to always show up for yourself and your people. So when other people don't live life like that, I don't know about you, but it infuriates me. I'm like,
Yes.
if there's a sour apple at work that's ruining everyone else's experience, I would without a doubt be like, cut them loose, right? And if I was a partner to someone and you told them I would do something, I'm going to step up and do it. Like, that's just ingrained in me. And so
Yeah.
I don't know, it's hard. And it's
It's
hard not
so
to be like,
hard.
this is how to live life right. Because I don't know if I'm right. Sometimes maybe you should loosen your rate. I don't know. It's hard to know what's right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I do think that everybody has an idea of what is cool and what's not cool. Like if you're not what's the word? Like, is it when you're owning up to your end of the bargain? Is that how they say it? If you're not,
If you're
what
not, oh yeah, yeah. Why are we
you're
so
not,
bad with cliches
I
and
don't,
phrases? It's like,
sorry,
we're
everybody. We're not owning up to our
not,
end of the bargain.
yeah, I think that's it. So
Okay.
we're definitely wrong.
And if
It's
it's not,
okay.
please correct us. We're probably definitely
Yeah.
wrong. And I'm just going to re-say it. If we're not owning up to our end of the bargain, then you should have a repercussion, in my opinion.
Holding
Like
up our end of the bargain. Yes.
holding up. There we go. Hold the phone, everybody. It's holding
Hold the
up.
phone, holding up. Okay. If we're not
So
holding our end of
if
the bargain. Okay.
then you need
Yep.
to hold up on your end of the bargain.
Right.
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 Yes. Yes.
That's, I agree with you. I
It's
agree with you.
infuriating. It's infuriating. And in my situation, it's these people are getting paid. They're getting things done for them,
Totally.
but they are
Right.
not doing what they should be doing. And then a coworker, she just, the hours that she works are crazy. I guess she doesn't work on Fridays. And then Monday, she didn't come in. And it's just all of these things. And they keep adding up. And then also, she hasn't produced anything. And I hate to be that nagging bitch, but I'm also tired of hearing things aren't working,
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I don't know what to say. Like it's either this or not. And I'm not saying like I stay or they stay. I'm not saying that
Mm-hmm.
at all. Like
Mm-hmm.
I would never do that. I don't think that's right of me to do. But what I'm saying at this point is if you want the company to change and have a chance to be what it should be,
Mm-hmm.
then this crap can't be happening.
Right. Right. I think it is hard when it's a work environment, like you said, and there's money on the table and there's a
Right.
hierarchy, and it's tough to know how to hold people to those changes. And I
Yeah.
think I feel for you because I feel like in those situations, which is why you and I are trying to build our own brand and business and,
Yeah.
do our own
Yeah.
things and our thing together because it's so infuriating when you are powerless. It's like, what are you supposed to do besides voice your opinion, state the facts, clarify, like be like, look, come on, come
Yes.
on. It's like,
Yes.
it's hard because you can't actually have someone act that way. I think when it's smaller changes, like what we're talking about in relationships and with
Right.
yourself, it's still just as frustrating, I would argue, but it's like, I don't know. I run into these things where I'm like, maybe I am holding myself and people around me to too high of expectations. I don't know. I think that's,
I I I've heard that about myself a lot. Actually, my boss said that even today. Like, you expect a lot from people. And he said, but that's a good parameter for me. Like, it keeps me in check when people aren't being kind or walking all over him or something. And
right.
sometimes people need others to look out for them. And I think that that's so spot on. But I mean, I don't know. It's weird to me because I always think that it's something that everybody knows, right? Like in my mind, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, how do you not see that you're underperforming or you're not coming to
Mm-hmm.
work or you're being a dick or you're just
Mm-hmm.
taking? How do you not see that? But I guess that people don't.
People don't. And that's what my therapist, Alexis, Queen Alexis, who we love on this podcast,
Queen
she
Alexis.
has always, not always, but we had this conversation where she's like, the way you live life and the way that you treat people and act and operate and set goals and drive forward is not going to be the same as anyone else in your life.
Right.
And so
Right.
if you're going to be a better friend than any one of your friends is to you, that's your choice and your prerogative, right? It's like, and it's
Right.
also your choice and your prerogative if you want to peel back a bit and be like, okay, maybe I can't give as much energy to these people that aren't reciprocating it. It
Yeah.
doesn't fuel me. It doesn't make me feel good. But if, like in my case, I'm like, sometimes I need to lower my expectations of other people. I shouldn't expect that they're going to act and operate the exact way that I want them to, or the
I
exact way that I
do.
think
I
is
do.
morally right.
Oh, no, for sure. And I think it's with our partners, it's hard because we're together, we live
Mm-hmm.
together and then we hear, what they do want to change or what they say they want to change.
Yeah.
And then when you don't see it happening in your mind, you're like, okay, well, do it.
Right.
Just do it, right? Like, okay, what's the problem here? But I don't know. My therapist said one time, and we talk about this a lot, is setting expectations,
Yeah.
which is hard when your expectations are high,
Yep.
and in certain environments and situations, I think it's good to have high expectations, but also maybe have something in your pocket of how it could go on the other end. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And it's just vocalizing them too. I
Yeah.
think that's a huge part of it. Like my friend Marissa and Blake, I'm sure they won't be upset that I share this. They're the cutest friends of mine. They're dating. They've been dating for 4 years. They live together. Marissa has extreme high expectations of cleanliness in the house. Like she has everything
Okay.
labeled, the drawers, like everything has to be washed a certain way, like put in the dishwasher a certain way. It's just she's neurotic about it, and she owns that. So she's like, I have super high expectations for how I want my house to be. So I, get a house cleaner come once a week. I take ownership over the cleanliness. Like Blake sort of rolls his eyes at times, but he sort of he just lets me sort of take the lead on
Yeah,
that type of
yeah.
stuff. So there are ways where I think you can vocalize, here are my expectations. And if you're a partner and you don't want to live that life exactly how I want you to live that life, then I'm going to, have more of the power in that
That's
area.
that's a good that's
Right.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
for me, I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant, but for me, I think that's
Go.
hard because Luke and I want so, like, I'm very much about equal
Oh,
balance. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't want to take the power in anything, but I want us both to care about cleanliness in our house. And I want us both to clean up and I want us both to clean the dishes. So I'm very big on we should have the shared definition of
Yes.
these things. And I think,
Yes.
I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that is my goal.
No, no, I get that. Like, and I'm I feel that way, but with health. And because we have different ideas, not that we have different ideas of it, but our habits are very different. And granted, Jeff's on the road and it's really hard to stay consistent and healthy, especially with like what's provided for you. You get pizza every night, everybody drinks. I mean, rock and roll,
Yeah.
right? Not rock and roll.
Rock
Not at all.
and roll.
But, you know, I feel a little bad because he's somewhere around here. But to me, it's important to get your exercise in, eat healthy, and be mindful of your health. And not just for appearance wise, but for your mind, for your heart, like your organs, every single thing. So you have stamina. And so that's a lot of we that's definitely our push and pull, and I'm learning that I need to release that. I can't put my expectations on him. Like if I want to set a goal for 10,000 steps a day, that's my goal, and I should not be pushing that on somebody. They have to set their own goals and they have to start where they're comfortable. um
I agree
but
with you. I agree with you, but I also have the health thing with Luke, and we get into these debates. And it's funny because we were both student athletes and had,
oh
these
yeah.
neurotic schedules, and then we come out and he just does not want to work out at all. There's zero goal. Zero. Like he's like, I walk around the hospital, I'm busy. That's my schedule. And he has no interest in health. I mean, he has
Oh,
some.
it's
He has some
hard.
little
Right.
but it's so wildly different than mine. So I totally relate to that. And it is really hard to be like, it's just more about living and having more energy and being able to get out
Yeah.
of bed with a little more pep in your step. It has nothing for me to do with appearances. Same with my own health. Like I've
No,
never attached the two.
I think it's just like ambition. Come on, do it.
Mhm.
Follow through for yourself. And it's attractive when there's ambition.
Yes, and drive and be and like
Yes.
I'm going to do this and I'm going to commit to this. But I think you and I are so that way
Yeah.
that it can be hard. And that's why I'm calling us both out. That's why I posed the
No,
question at the
you
beginning of
should.
this of like, maybe that's not necessarily right either to expect people to live life how you live life or make decisions how you make decisions and
Mm,
don't follow up with the change that they want to make because maybe for whatever reason they're not quite there in their journey through life yet.
yeah.
But that's a really hard pill for me to swallow.
Same pay. Same. Like I've
Mhm.
got to chew that a while.
I know, right? And
I
sometimes when I'm in a weaker moment, I'll be like, well, then I need to get like better friends and like a better partner,
oh,
and like,
oh,
fuck this, that I need to surround myself with winners. You know?
are you kidding me? All the time. Not all the time, but
No,
I
no,
have been
but
there. I have absolutely been there. And I vocalized it. I'm sorry
yeah,
that
me
I
too.
and then
Like,
I feel kind of
sorry.
bad. Like I'm not
I know.
afterwards I'm
I
like,
know.
oh my God, did I just tell you that you're the absolute slob in the world? Or
I
like
know.
I'm like, "Ugh, no, but you get on those
Yes.
trains of thought and
Yes.
feelings because like you're saying, it's not maybe the actual thing you're fighting about. It's the lack of action when it's
Yes.
like no walk, all talk,
Yep.
right?
Exactly. Exactly. And one of my friends, Sarah, she's also very big on this, is like when you make a decision, you follow it and you stick it
Yes.
through. I
Yes.
do think there's a period of time though where at least where her and I differ with this conversation is like make the decision, live it fully, and if it's wrong for you, exit stage right. So I think
Absolutely.
she's a bit more intense in like this is your decision, work through it, push through it, go as hard as you can. Like we've had sort of debates over this topic over the years. And for me, it's like if it's not serving me, I'm gonna like I'm gonna go this
No,
way and
I'm
I'll
the
go
same.
full this way.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know?
If it's not working for anybody, of course you don't want to keep going down that path. I think at
Yeah.
first some things are difficult because you have that learning process and you just have to be able to like I don't know, manage that and see if it's really just the learning
Hmm.
process or you absolutely hate it. And if you absolutely hate it, don't do it.
Right. It's just, I think what you
Yeah.
and I are saying is like, be strong in your decisions and go for things and take action. Don't just talk about change. Actually go try it. And if it doesn't work for you, like fire the person that doesn't. And if something changes and they come back and they're ready to work harder, rehire them. If
Sure.
you're a partner and you're like, can't, whatever, it's make the decision, live with it. Let's see some action, right? And then if it doesn't work, guess what? Nothing in life is final. Go back through and
No,
figure it out.
absolutely. Absolutely. No, exactly. Like there's no I mean, there could be harm in making a decision to try something. I don't know. I think there's always the other way that could
Of
help
course.
or
Of
could
course.
happen. But if there's something that you're thinking about doing to improve yourself, or your work situation, or your mind, or whatever it is, or
Yes.
just like the chi around you, you should just do it.
I agree with you. I agree. And I think people fear change. And I think
Oh,
that's another
yes.
big part of this conversation is like people are worried about what happens. I
Yeah.
have known evils in my life.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable enough, right? I get that a lot from Luke. I'm comfortable. It's like, well, who wants to be comfortable and stagnant and
No, then you're
cruising through
not
life?
growing.
Right. And
Yeah.
that is so it's this interesting like change is scary.
It
It's
is.
hard. And I think you and I, neither of us fear it as much as other people. And I think we try different hats on all the time. We have many different hobbies. We'll dip our toes in a lot of
Yeah.
different things. It's scary, but we'll go for it. And
We
I
embrace it,
don't,
I think. I think it's scary,
yes,
but it's also exciting,
yes. And I
because it
don't think a lot of people feel that though.
no, I think you're right. I think you're right. And for us, it breaks up the
Yeah.
everyday and it adds the fairy tale to life. I think it adds the
Yes.
magic because you're just adding things here and there and you don't have the same schedule and you're figuring things out all the time and it can surprise you. And I think that that is kind of magical.
Agreed. It's like Lancome sending me a foundation. It's like it's a small thing, but I'm leaning into it and being like, why not? Let me do a get ready with me and put my Lancome foundation on. Whereas a lot of people would be like, that's not my lane. I can't
Yes.
do that.
Yes.
That's weird or that's this or this. It's like life is just about trying things and
Mhm.
going for things, taking action, being
Yeah.
inspired, having a drive to move forward.
Right. And you don't know what wonderful thing could just be right around the corner with that action. And I think about that. I think about that in relationships, how just changing one habit, how it can make you just feel better so you have better communication or at work if there's a bad seed you let go of them and then all of a sudden you're like breathing this fresher air,
Mm-hmm.
why didn't I do
Mm-hmm.
that sooner? Or following a passion and a dream, if you're in something that doesn't serve you,
Mm-hmm.
you will be like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've wasted so much time. I'm meant to do this. I I don't know. And I don't mean waste too much time, because I do think everything happens for a reason. You have to get through those steps of
Agreed.
life and everything. But I do think you will feel like, oh, I wish I would have started this earlier.
For sure. I
Right?
fully agree. I do disagree with the notion that you constantly need to be in a state of growth, because I've been watching a lot of these like meditative type videos, and it is like a very capitalist society of us to be like, there's always a goal and there's always
Yes.
a next level. It's like there is something beautiful in just being. I struggle with that, but I think there is a beauty in just taking a breath and being like, wow, life is beautiful as it is right now.
Yeah.
But that being said, if you set a goal for yourself and you promise change, and you like follow up with action, or
Yes.
don't fucking say it.
Ugh. Bingo. Don't say it. Don't
Don't
say it if
say
you're not going
it.
to do it, or if you're not
Yes.
ready, right?
Yes.
And sometimes you're not ready, and that's okay. Like, been there,
Agreed.
100% been there. But I've also been very guilty of saying something and I haven't followed through. And I think I've learned, okay, I don't need to throw all that out there when I don't know if I can produce yet. And so I think
Agreed.
you learn, right? Because you get ahead of yourself sometimes. You get motivated and you're like, I got this, da, 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 da. But then once you start the process, it is a lot harder
Oh
than
my God, yes.
yeah.
I'm an overcommitter like no one's
Oh,
business.
golly. Same, same, same.
I'm
And
like,
so,
yes, 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 yes. And then I'll get to I'm like, nope, nope, nope,
no,
nope.
that's why I love when everybody cancels.
Yeah, me too.
So then I don't have to be the one when I am sometimes.
I am
But
a lot of the
no,
time.
I mean, I guess it's something that we have to work on as well. Like you're saying, setting expectations, and
Mhm.
those aren't our decisions to make. Like, we can't make a decision for somebody else. If advice is asked for, or they want to just talk it around with you, then that's something, and you do that. But at the end of the day, if it's not your choice, then you can't do it, and you have to accept that. And I say that to myself, like, I have to accept that.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
But at the same time, you do have a choice always. We always have our choice for ourselves, where like if the work environment is too shitty for you, you have
Yeah.
a choice to leave, or you have a choice to set a boundary with your boss and say, hey, I can't be around this person, or like you already did. And I have a choice. That's why I said to Luke, like, if this isn't working for me, I'm going to go live my life and do my things and
Yep.
set bigger goals. And, you know, I mean, that sounds harsh, but
No, it
it's
sounds
not to light a
realistic.
fire. Yeah, it's like I can only control myself. So if you want to go live life that way, wonderful. If that's serving you, wonderful. If it's not serving me, I am going to remove myself from the equation.
1000%. And I think the expectations you have for yourself do not need to change
No,
because somebody else isn't, meeting theirs.
exactly. And so that's sort of where Luke and I have actually found a lot of peace through that. It's like, okay, I'm going to cook my own dinner then that,
Yeah.
suits my needs, and you can order if you want to order. And over time, you start to do this. You start to mold together and blend, and he sees the value in what you're doing, you see the value in what he's doing, and sometimes you
Of
compromise. At least
course.
in a partnership, that's what
Of
we've
course.
experienced. But making decisions for yourself is key. Reminding
It
yourself,
is.
I'm always in control of what I do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that that is just something when you're facing these hardships, or, coming to blows with either your partner or a friend or a work environment, it's imperative to remember that only you can control what you can control. And that's really
Exactly.
just yourself, nothing
Yep.
else. And that's a really hard pill to swallow. Once again, we're going to say that.
Hmm.
Um, but it's the truth. And you
It's
have
also
it,
empowering. It's
it is
also
empowering.
very empowering. It's like, well, I have the power. If
Yeah.
this
Oh,
isn't serving me,
absolutely.
bye. Slam door shut, right?
Yes. And
You always have
everything.
that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if somebody tells you you can't, like, just kind of going down the dream route right now, okay. Okay. That's fine. Maybe you can't because you don't have,
Yes.
right? Yeah. Because you don't have the desire or the courage to believe or stand out in the crowd or tell somebody, yes, I fucking can. And I feel bad.
Exactly. That's where I've gotten into like kind of like butting heads with different people in my life around changing jobs. That's something that
Yeah.
I've always had an interest. Like in the 5 years I lived in San Francisco, I think I had 3 or 4 jobs. Like I was just bounced all over the place. I was 22 years old though, and
Oh
I'm
my
like
gosh.
learning my
Yes.
life. It's like I want to try different things and I want to change things up. And that's sort of something I'm interested in. It's so fascinating to see the people that are like, just stay the same. You're creating chaos in your life. The reason why you're anxious and don't have stability is because you're changing jobs. It's like, no, it's not. That has nothing to do with that.
Nothing. Absolutely
It's
nothing.
it's just very clear. It's like, okay, I'm very clear on where you stand and where
Yes.
you take life and how you think of yourself and your self-worth and how you spend your energy and time. How I spend my energy and time, valuable. I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to be in spaces that I believe in, that I feel comfortable in, that drive me forward.
That are encouraging and
Yeah.
nurturing and just, maybe sometimes the odds are low, but who cares? And so,
Who
like,
cares?
go for it. Because if you don't go for it, the odds are zero,
Exactly.
and somebody's got to get it anyway. So why can't it be you?
Exactly. So I feel like you and I have always aligned on that. And there are
I
people in my
do.
life that just would rather stay stagnant and would rather just cruise it and stay safe in this bubble wrapped life.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
never been my MO. And I think I wonder if I know we're coming to the end of this, but maybe
It's
in a
okay.
future pod we could even do this. But I wonder how you grew up and
Oh
why,
yeah. 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 We should talk. We've
you know
mentioned
what
this
I
a few
mean?
times. Yeah.
It's like why we feel this because
Yeah.
I do feel it does relate to our childhood, at least mine when
Oh,
moving around all the time. And,
absolutely.
I could go through a whole slew of reasons why change doesn't scare me as much as maybe other people.
No, same. And I think the world has so much to offer, so much to
Yes.
offer, and it's beautiful and it is, oh gosh, it's rewarding and the
Hmm.
experiences are out there, but too many times we just hear about the fear and the harm being done in the world, or you better not go there. This is what's happening. Okay, yeah, that is happening, but that's also happening right down my street in the really nice park I walk my dog in. And, you know, it's going to happen anywhere you go, but there's also really beautiful things happening in that same spot. And it's perception, it's reflection on what you want, and I think it's exactly what you're saying. You're making the decision for yourself, but I do feel bad for people
Exactly.
that don't try and explore that.
I think so too. And I think it goes back to being afraid of change. And I think people are afraid to make the quote unquote wrong decision. Guess what? There's no wrong decision.
There's
Action is
not.
never like, I mean, obviously, there's a moral compass that you should
Of
have in life,
course.
but taking action in these things that are scary or unknown, there's never going to be a wrong turn. You're
No.
trying and moving forward, and you can always turn left or right or, go backwards a few miles and then go down a different road. Like
Absolutely.
that's why change doesn't, I guess, scare me as much. And maybe people
Same.
like your boss or other people who are afraid to make these big decisions, it's like take action and see what happens.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I could go on for a little
I
bit
know.
more, but I think it would just be boring.
No, I think this is useful because we worked through it
We did.
live
We did.
through
And
this pod.
well, exactly because I came home and I was just cranky and tired. And I just felt the last few weeks, I've just felt emotionally exhausted by it. And so,
Hmm.
like I said, the last thing I wanted to do was talk about it some more. But always talking with you helps.
Same.
You know,
Same.
we
And
we
talking through
listen.
like we listen and we pose different, or like, what about this?
Viewpoints. Absolutely.
Poke a hole there.
Yes,
So anyways,
yes.
I think it's helpful, everyone. And I feel like hopefully this episode wasn't too confusing because we went a lot of different places.
Yeah, we did. We did. But maybe our brains are in that space today. Mine's just boggling around. I know yours is feeling the exact same way.
Yes.
Um, but maybe we ended on what we're thankful note.
I love that.
Just
I
to,
love that. Or maybe just to throw it out there, we could do a change that served us really well.
ooh, I
Since it was
love
all
that.
about that, I don't know if you think
No.
of one. Let me see. Because it
Oh
could also be something you're grateful for, like a change that you made that you're grateful for.
yeah, most definitely. I am very grateful that I Well, you know what? I don't know what I'm yet. Can you go first?
Yeah. Let me try. I'm trying to think of something that popped.
I know this is hard.
It's hard.
It's not
I'm
that we
sure
don't
there's-
have things that we're grateful
I know
for.
we're like, one that came to my mind is the change to put myself out there on social media. I think that's something I always told myself that wasn't for me. That's not my thing. So starting my blog, PSN blogging, was one of the best actions that I took.
Yeah.
That I always told myself I was going to start a blog, always, and was always fearful around it. So when I finally did, it set this domino effect of my life, that was
Yes.
truly beautiful. Like I am in such a different space because of that small action to start a blog.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. And that helped me figure out what mine is. And I think it's not being afraid to stand up for myself and speak what I need and not just be a people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned that over the last year, and it's been very empowering. I still have trouble with it at times, but I'm getting better at saying, no, that's not for me to do, that's for you to do. And, or no, I don't need to be there, or I don't have to say yes to everything. And it has been very, very helpful with me and for just my mentality.
Yes. So, okay. So wait, speak more to what has happened from that. Like, besides you feeling better about yourself, has it actually helped with the people in your life? Like, have they respected
Yeah.
you more? Have they asked for less, or what's?
I think, with a friendship, it created boundaries that were needed for sure, that I can't be there at all times. I'm not at a phone call away when I'm at work, or, we're
Mhm.
not going to hang out every day. And that has been really wonderful because it weighed on me so much. And I was nervous every time or I'd have anxiety every time I got a text or a call, like, oh God, I know what this is going to be. Oh God, it's saying I'm not showing up enough in this friendship, or blah, 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 something like that. So that was definitely one example. And then
Mhm.
another one was this person at work. I did this whole event that she was supposed to do, and there was one more thing that needed to be done, but it was after work hours at night. And she asked if I could do it. And I said, I can't. We were counting on
Good.
you to do this, and I can't. And it was hard for me to say that. Like, Jeff kind of like coached me through it.
Yeah. And what ended up happening? Like, did she do it?
Yeah, she did it.
Yep. That's the
Uh,
thing. It's like
I
once you
know.
set boundaries, it's like,
No.
oh, it happens without me. Oh my
I know.
God.
No, you're right. You're right. Oh, I can say no like
Oh,
everybody else does.
right. Right. It's like silly.
It
Anyways,
is
but
silly, but that was good. I'm glad we ended on that. And I think
yeah.
I think those are all really positive things that we're doing for ourselves. But I think other people, if they can implement that, it would be very helpful for them too. And they're easy ones, or they're simple ones. They're not easy, but they're simple.
Yeah. Embrace change, people. It's the new
Embrace
thing.
it. God, yeah. Changing your pocket, changing your life.
Oh my God.
Oh, who are we?
Who are we? We are just
Ah,
spitting all these great phrases for everyone today. Well,
it's been a
thank you
wonderful time.
for listening to this great
Yeah.
episode. And we post a new podcast every Thursday. We try to get up on our blog as much as possible. Go check out our site, pswehavenoplan.com.
Yes. Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in as always.
All right.